So today we're talking about Nike losing 3 of their biggest athletes all within the last 2 months. Now stick around to the end till I explain why some are bigger deals than others, and also why I think this is happening. So to start out, there's essentially like 3 different kinds of sponsorship that can occur in the NFL on the field. The first is going to be the NFL on-field sponsors. The second is going to be the on-field licensing partners. And the third is going to be players' individual sponsorships. All right, so the first, on-field league sponsors. Now there's really only 2, kind of technically 3 of these right now. These are going to be companies that are paying to show their logo on the field and are associated with the NFL in some way. The 2 are going to be Nike. They do all the league jerseys except Green Bay. If you want a separate video on why Green Bay does not wear Nike jerseys, leave a comment down below. And Oakley. Oakley is the on-field optics sponsor, and that means every visor on the field is going to have these Oakley tabs on it. Even sometimes if someone is not wearing an Oakley visor, they'll even put the Oakley tabs to make it look like it is. The third one is going to be Under Armour. They are now the official like glove and shoe sponsor in the NFL. They announced it like last year. I've seen a lot of teams wearing Nike shoes on the field, not Under Armour, so I don't really know what's going on with that. But anyways, yeah, those are the on-field league sponsors. So you're associated with the league that way. Second is going to be on-field licensing partners. So these are companies that aren't technically like associated with the NFL, but they are paying the NFL around $10 million per year to show their logo on the field during a game. Now, right now, there's 4 companies in this category. The first is going to be Nike. They're essentially given this because they're a league sponsor, so everyone wears Nike jerseys, and if you want to wear Nike gloves, Nike cleats, you can show that Nike logo on it, no problem. Second is going to be Under Armour. Again, they're paying for some sort of deal, which also includes this, which means if you want to wear Under Armour cleats, gloves, sleeves, whatever on the field, you can do that too. Third one is going to be Oakley. Again, league sponsor, part of it. And the only one that's not both an on-field licensing partner and a league sponsor right now is Adidas. So they are basically just paying for the Adidas athletes or anyone that wants to wear Adidas to have that logo shown on the field. And that's all it is. There's no affiliation with the league. You can just show that logo. You're paying the NFL a flat fee every year to show that logo on the field. Now, what's important with this is these aren't the only brands you can wear on the field. So an NFL player can wear any brand they want as long as it passes like some basic certifications. But if you're not paying this licensing fee, you're just not allowed to show that logo. So a really popular one right now is Next Trend. Their mouth guards are all over the league, and some guys have gotten in trouble before because it had the Next Trend logo on the lip guard. So Next Trend came out with the unbranded version of it so that way they could kind of get away with having it on the field. Another really common one that doesn't have a logo but has this iconic orange on the inside, so you know what it is going to be today's video sponsor, Dryax. Today's video is brought to you by Dryax. Now, if you're familiar with our channel, you've seen Dryax on a bunch of guys across the league like CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and especially a bunch of the new first-round draft picks that you'll be watching all fall. Guys like Jackson Dart, Ashton Genji, Will Campbell, you name it, they're in Dryax. Here's how it works. Dryax has a hydrophobic layer on the inside that rests against your chin and is enhanced by Cupron copper. It releases millions of ions, which helps improve your skin's health and appearance. Worn regularly next to your skin, the Cupron copper has been proven to improve your skin's elasticity, softness, appearance, tone, and texture. The other important thing is the hydrophobic fibers mixed into the fabric, which pulls all the moisture away from your skin. This is why their socks and chin savers are so popular, because it keeps it dry and odor-free. Right now, they have 2 different styles of the chin savers. They have their traditional tube version here, which they've now added these tabs to give you full coverage around the chin strap. And they have their easy on and off version here with Velcro, makes it easy to take it off and wash it regularly. Outside of that, they also come in a bunch of different colorways now, including blue, red, white, black, but white is my favorite by far. Now, honestly, outside of that, my favorite product they make is their socks. I wear their socks every day, whether it's at the gym, when I'm coaching, when I'm playing in my soccer league, or just walking around. Their socks are super comfortable and worn by most of the guys in the NFL for this exact same reason. Personally, I prefer their quarter crew, but they have different lengths from short ones all the way up to full length ones. Just depends on what you're doing and what you like. If you want to learn more about Dryax socks and chin savers, visit the link in the description down below to Dryax's website. Let's get back to the video. So yeah, thanks to Dryax for sponsoring today's video, but you can wear basically anything on the field and we highly recommend them. So the third category is going to be player sponsorships. Now players can go out with their agents and get their own sponsorship deals, which can be on-field or off-field deals, as long as they don't interfere with the deals that the NFL already has going on. So an on-field sponsor is like the player says they're going to wear this brand on the field. An off-field sponsor is probably a brand that they definitely can't wear on the field, but they want to have some sort of affiliation with. We'll go through some examples. First one is going to be CeeDee Lamb. His is super easy. He is an on and off-field Nike-sponsored athlete. Nike's also an NFL sponsor, which means that he can wear all the Nike stuff they want him to all the time. Doesn't matter when, where. Works out really nice. Different one is going to be Stephon Diggs. Now he wears Nike and Jordan on the field. I don't think he's sponsored by them at all, but off the field he has a deal with Asics. So on the field he's wearing his Nike and his Jordan cleats. Off the field he's doing a lot of stuff with Asics. Another good one is Travis Hunter. So he is an Adidas athlete. However, Adidas has the on-field deal, meaning that they can show Travis Hunter wearing Adidas gloves and Adidas cleats. However, it's a Nike uniform. He plays for the Jags, so it'll always be that Nike logo on there too. So it's a little bit of mix match on the field. Last one is going to be Sauce Gardner. He's a Nike athlete on the field, which means he's going to be wearing all his Nike stuff. No issues with the league. However, he's also sponsored by Q Collar on the field, meaning that he's going to wear a Q Collar, but it is unbranded. And finally, Justin Jefferson. He's an Under Armour and Oakley guy on and off the field. And what that means is because both those companies are paying those fees, tees. He's showing the Under Armour logo on the field and off the field. In the past, when he first joined Under Armour, they were not associated with the league in any way, so they had to cover those logos on his gloves and cleats, but not anymore. All right, so now that you know the backstory, let's talk about the 3 big names Nike has lost in the past couple months. The first is gonna be Josh Allen. So Josh Allen left Nike to go to New Balance, who's recently started making cleats with some sponsorship with guys like Will Anderson, Matthew Stafford, and Chase Young. Now, here's why this is a big deal. He's one of the biggest names in the league, one of the most common household names in the NFL right now. At some point, going to be a league MVP, hopefully at some point a Super Bowl champion. So Nike wants to be associated with this guy from a performance perspective and an achievement perspective. So that's what the big loss for them to not have him on their roster anymore. Here's why it's not a big deal. You probably didn't know that Josh Allen was a Nike athlete. All he wears is Nike cleats. He doesn't wear anything else Nike. So the fact that they lost him as far as a branding on field, not a ton of swooshes are gone from the world now. Now, Josh Allen has switched out of his Nike cleats into the New Balance cleat. However, at this point, they're kind of whited out. So the New Balance logo is still there, but it's in all white, so you can't really see it. From their perspective, losing Josh Allen, I don't know if it's a really big deal. Second is going to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow left Nike to go join Aloe in an off-field partnership. Now again, what this means, he cannot wear Aloe on the field, he can only wear Aloe off the field. But Aloe might have put in his contract that even though they're his off-field sponsor, he's not allowed to wear any competing brands on the field. There's a couple reasons this one matters. Joe Burrow is another face of the league, so they definitely want him on the roster. However, Joe Burrow, unlike Josh Allen, is also a big fashion guy. So if they're going for like the fashion and how fashion, culture, sports, streetwear has all kind of mixed now, they definitely want Joe Burrow on their roster from that perspective. So that could be a loss. The other big one too, in my perspective, is actually the Jordan 1 cleats. So Joe Burrow has worn a Jordan 1 for a really long time, and they even came up with the shattered backboard colorway this year. I don't think it's a coincidence they came up with the shattered backboard colorway and Joe Burrow was going to instantly start wearing it because it is also Cincinnati colors. So if they thought Joe Burrow was not going to be on the roster this year, I don't know if they would have picked the shattered backboard as the next Jordan 1 cleat to drop. And also I do want to point out he's still wearing that shattered backboard colorway and it is the Jordan 1 cleat. However, they took the Nike swoosh off it, which is why I think Aloe has some kind of deal where they're the only brand he can basically wear on or off field, even though Aloe they can definitely not on field. So I think that's part of the contract. Here's why it doesn't matter. It's an only an off-field deal, which means that it has no effect on what he's wearing in the NFL right now. He's still wearing the exact same cleats, he's still wearing the same sleeve, he's still wearing everything the exact same. So from the on-field perspective, not a lot has changed except removing that Nike swoosh from his Jordan 1 cleats. However, that has also drawn more attention to it, so I'd argue more people know now that he was a Jordan guy before than he was in the past. The other reason that might not matter for Nike, he's hurt. If they were paying Joe Burrow per season and they just lost 3 months of having that Nike swoosh on the field, they would basically get nothing back for that unless there's like an injury clause within his contract with them. So because of that, with him being out, they didn't really lose a lot here. Timing's not great. Third guy, Jamar Chase has recently left Nike to join Fabletics in an off-field partnership. I think this is a true statement, but also a not true statement based on some of the reporting. So the report was that he left Nike to join Fabletics. However, from my perspective, it looks like he has restructured his deal with Nike to allow another deal with Fabletics. I'll explain. The reason this one really matters, maybe from an advertising perspective in the future, is Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb were the 2 biggest Nike guys on their roster right now. They're using them in tons of ads. They were using both of them to drop their own PE cleats. CeeDee Lamb had his drop this year. Jamar Chase had the crawfishes drop last year. So I think from that perspective, if Nike's not allowed to do these things with him anymore, that's a really big loss. But yeah, he's like arguably one of the biggest guys on the roster, so losing him, pretty big deep cut. Now here's the reason it might not matter how this deal actually shakes out. It looks like from this deal that it is an on-field restructure of Nike deal and an off-field new deal with Fabletics. And that means he's still allowed to wear all his Nike stuff on the field, unlike Joe Burrow's deal, because he's still wearing all his Nike PE gloves, he's still wearing all his Nike PE cleats, he still has a Nike advertisement on his Instagram. The only difference, off-field he's wearing Fabletics stuff when rolling up to the stadium, off-field he's on Fabletics men's Instagram. So I think both deals are existing at the same time. And that's why, for at least me as a football fan, this one has no impact. If Jamar Chase is still wearing Nike stuff or on the field, in photos, that's all that pretty much matters to me. Now, who knows, maybe it's like a, it kind of fell in between 2 years, and maybe next year he'll be out of Nike. I don't really know, but I'm curious to see at this point what happens. If I had to rank these 3, depending on the outcome, losing Jamar Chase was the biggest hit, then I'm going to go Joe Burrow, then I'm going to go Josh Allen. Now, why do I think this happened? 3 things. Money. Some of these new brands like Aloe, Fabletics, New Balance, they probably just have more money to throw around because they don't have a lot of deals. Nike has 30 to maybe 80 guys on their roster right now, so they clearly do not have the money that some of these other brands have to just spend on one guy. Second, it's going to be coordination. If you're a guy like Jamar Chase and you're being told by someone that works at Nike, hey, this pregame we need you to wear these gloves. Hey, this pregame we need you to wear these cleats. Hey, in-game, you need to wear the crawfish with the matching gloves so we can get photos. Hey, you need to come do this for us. That might get annoying. You're so big at this point, you want to wear what you want when you want, and to have to deal with this might not be worth the money. And if you can even just still wear the same stuff, but whenever you feel like it, maybe a little more peace of mind. The third one is going to be time. Now, Nike is expanding their PEs into the college world now. So Ryan Williams was the first Nike athlete to get his own college PEs, and that means there's going to be less time for Nike guys to work with every athlete on their roster. If they had like 4 guys handling all the PEs for Nike internally, and their roster size is essentially going to double by bringing all these college guys, that means they have less time to work with every individual athlete. So if you're Jamar Chase, you're getting less time with your coordinators, you're getting more headaches, and you're probably getting not as much money as someone else can offer you. So from that perspective, I think it makes sense why they might leave. But again, let me know down below if you kind of disagree with anything we're talking about here, and if you disagree with my rankings of Jamar, Joe, Josh. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check you next time.